Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the pod, the Spillin' It pod, your favorite pod, your mom's favorite pod, probably your dad's favorite as well. Grandma,
They like to
grandpa,
listen
question
separate
mark?
though.
Yeah, they do.
Gives them
Which
something to talk about in the car.
I honestly highly recommend listening to this alone and isolated so no one knows what you're doing with your
No
life.
windows either. You don't need them.
No, Aaron Rodgers it, just all the lights out.
Just lay like put it like just like close your eyes, lay flat on your back on your bed, and just like let us wash over you. Really is
Yes.
what we're looking for.
Yeah. Anyway, we got some breaking news here on the pod that will be several days old by the time that the pod is released. But this completely changed up the order of events today with the announcement of the return of Jason Tatum for the Boston Celtics potentially tomorrow, coming off an Achilles tear injury. Ben, what are your thoughts on him coming back this quick?
I want to look up this is so breaking that I haven't even had a chance to look up like when was his injury? Do you know? Do you remember when his first
It was
injury?
during the playoffs.
Yeah, it was during game four of the semis. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
May 12th. So we're at like 10 months. It's quick. Here's my thought process. I guess they think that they have a shot at the title this year, which
Yeah.
they definitely do. No question about that. And by bringing him back this early, that gives him time to kind of ramp up to his form
Yeah.
before postseason gets really into the thick of it, and they don't have a rush. I mean, they're playing extremely well without him. They don't really have to feel like we need him to be playing 35 like a
Yeah.
night immediately. So if he's truly ready to play some ball, then why not? You know, you have a
Yeah.
shot. The Thunder still look really good. You know, there's plenty of teams out west that look good, but the East is pretty open for you.
Yeah,
And
it
even
really
the
is.
Thunder looked more beatable this year than they did last year.
Yeah.
I say looked like it's past tense, but you know, obviously season's still going. I don't know. I'm kind of down with it. I think that windows in the NBA especially are so short that
Yeah.
if you feel like you have a good shot this year and you can take the gains you've made with Jaylen Brown, some of your other uh, supplementary pieces, some of the swings you took mid-season, why not? You know?
Yeah. I'm here for it. My biggest worry obviously is just the health aspect of it. Generally want him to be okay because then you lose another season if something goes horribly wrong. But, on the other side of that, I look at he had the surgery from the same physician that Tyrese Halliburton did. And obviously Tyrese is not playing this year. He should
Yeah,
not
I
play
have
this year. And if
absolutely
anyone
zero interest
suggests
in
it,
Tyrese Halliburton to
they
play basketball this season.
yeah, if anyone even in that building suggests that he should play this season, they need to be thrown in federal penitentiary. Like it's no, he's not playing. But that does make me feel better at the fact that we could potentially see a full strength Tyrese at some point next season. Obviously, there's going to be an on ramp for him coming back to being at his full peak form. But I'm very interested to see. I'm a big Tatum guy. I like him. I know a lot of people say that he comes off corny at times, but I think he's just genuinely a good dude. And I'm excited to see it. I think it's good for basketball. I think it'll be a lot better for the Eastern Conference playoffs. I think it becomes more watchable now with
Hmm.
that storyline coming back into it. And yeah, I mean, if he is able to come back even 70%, I think Boston has to be the favorite in the East. And
Yeah,
obviously, it's not saying too much, but at the end of the day, the Pistons have been playing good ball. So it'll definitely make things a lot more interesting moving forward.
I agree. Yeah, I'm interested in. I think basketball's better with Jason Tatum in it. I think the Celtics are more interesting to me with Tatum because as well as they've played this year, we really don't know, and I guess we won't know how this current iteration sans Tatum would have fared in the postseason.
Right.
But
Yeah.
again, even if he's not playing 40 minutes a night and you're getting somewhere along 20 to 30 good minutes of ball from him, that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
Now, I don't
I
know
don't
care
care
how
who.
well
Yeah.
your guys are playing. I think that's an
Yeah.
upgrade. You want to do some other breaking news, Jesse?
Yeah. Let's hit it.
So this might segue. We'll probably reorder our order a little bit because this will segue naturally into one of our
Yeah.
segments. But report came out about an hour ago that the Colts are looking for suitors for Zaire Franklin trades.
Ooh, interesting.
So they're looking for some cap relief because they made a choice that we will discuss later. And now are looking to shop their top former All-Pro linebacker. Jesse, your thoughts on Zaire Franklin potentially being traded by our Indianapolis Colts?
I have some thoughts on Zaire Franklin overall, and most of them are not great. But when I'm thinking about this outside of Zaire as a player in this situation and outside that situation. When you take it at face value, I think this has been just a bit of a catastrophe handling by the Colts lately. And I know I've said that for the past 10 years straight. With you
If
can
only there
really
was a common denominator for all 10
right.
years.
You'd think they would realize that by now. But my theory here is that this is kind of a desperation move to try to keep other people on this team and Alec Pierce like that. I I'm not heartbroken at the thought of losing Zaire Franklin. What I'm frustrated about is the mismanagement of it.
Hmm.
I'm frustrated by the fact that we have to cut somewhere else because we've mismanaged everything else up to this point. And that's really more of the concern for me. Do I think we can replace Zaire Franklin? Yeah, I do. He has looked absolutely lost at times in coverage, and I think we can make up his production in other ways. But it's more about the now we have to react situation because we're blowing everything else. And that's the concern that I have for the Indianapolis Colts. And it's just a reoccurring theme with this leadership that they have. Chris Ballard should have been gone years ago. He should have been gone after the Carson Wentz incident when we lost in Jacksonville. And the fact that he is still here and being allowed to make these kinds of mistakes at this level is frankly embarrassing to be a Colts fan at this point.
Yeah, it's hard on the Ballard front because I definitely agree Ballard should have been gone. I actually really like Shane Steichen. I think he's a good
I do too.
coach. I think they made the right call keeping Steichen this offseason because there you weren't going to get a better option in this
No,
market,
no,
especially you weren't going to have a better play caller.
no.
And I think you kind of painted yourselves into a corner. And the argument was, well, it's bad. In general, it's bad for your team to have general manager and coach not aligned and kind of together. So to hire a new GM, inherit kind of a lame duck coach, that's a tough setup.
It is.
I am with you. I think that they can replace Zaire Franklin on the field. They kind of already had to some degree. His play slipped. EJ Speed stepped up his play. Life moves on. He's a linebacker. You can find linebackers. It's actually a great year to need a linebacker in free
It
agency
really is.
draft. Um, it's just more to me, the Colts are kind of operating with this like we're so close. They're very much buying into the hype of the first 8 weeks of the season, right?
Hmm.
Like we are, and Ballard even said this recently at the combine. He was like, we were a top four team in the NFL before, it all fell apart, basically. And like that is, the performance you were putting out there. But that's a hard sample size, and now, you basically leveraged yourself out by trading for Sauce Gardner and are pretty committed
Yes.
to Daniel Jones, which again we'll talk about in a second. But I I don't know. Now you're just creating more needs on a team
Mhm.
that theoretically thinks it's, just a couple pieces away. And I have concern about that process, which is kind of like what you're saying, is just I don't know that I don't think Chris Ballard is one of the worst GMs in football. I do not think that, but I just don't
No,
think that his track record has earned him the benefits of the doubt that he continues to get.
no.
And now we're at a point where we're paying our the hopes and dreams of the Colts franchise and jobs for pretty much everybody are all on the pick a leg, man. Either the broken
Yeah.
the broken
Each
leg
one-
or the torn Achilles of a guy who has never stayed healthy
Yep.
consistently and played at a level much higher than he had ever played last
Yes.
year, then has suffered two debilitating injuries, which I don't know how you can break your leg and not need surgery. That's
I don't
medical
understand
science
that one.
beyond me. Good for him, I guess.
Yep.
So he doesn't have to do both. But the mismanagement is great. I'm gonna go ahead and I keep teasing it. I'm gonna transition into one of the things I wanted to talk about. We're gonna talk a little bit about some kind of pre-free agency thoughts here, because it had been like 2 weeks since we talked NFL.
Yeah.
And I
We
wanted
needed our fix.
I kind of wanted to rant a little bit about just the mismanagement of the Daniel Jones situation to
Yes.
where you feel like you need to put the transition tag
Yes.
on Daniel Jones, which is going to cost you Alec Pierce. I'm going to tell you right
Yes.
now, that man
It's
will
going to
not be a
cost you
Colt.
Alec Pierce.
He's going to make DJ Moore money at least, which is like
Yeah.
26, 27 million a year, and they just realistically cannot afford that
No.
unless they cut Michael Pittman to save cap, which they seem really resistant to do. Which Michael Pittman's not a bad player, but
Yeah.
he's making the contract that Alec Pierce realistically should have
Correct.
currently. But that's not going to happen because they love Michael Pittman and he's a good dude and he's a quality receiver. And if you cut him, then you need something else. But who are you bidding against in the Daniel Jones bidding war? He is extremely damaged goods. And were you really going to pay him? The way you should think about like the transition tag and the franchise tag is that's now the floor of your negotiation on a long-term deal.
Correct.
Daniel Jones has not proven that he's worth $37 million. You signed him for $15 million last offseason, which was also just kind of crazy because I don't feel like he'd
Yes.
earned
That was
that.
completely out of pocket for the
But like
situation
that's
he's
just
in.
like what you got to pay for a veteran like a free
Yeah.
agent quarterback like that. But now he played really well, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't infallible.
No.
And then he also had two debilitating injuries, which
Yes.
worry me as an older quarterback, not older as in like he's in his mid 30s, but approaching 30, if not over
Yeah.
30 already. I don't remember his exact age. And as a quarterback who depends on mobility, I just it's going to cost you a really good young player who had emerged, and now you're backed into a corner where you're going to have to pay out the wazoo. And now if Daniel Jones comes back and plays even moderately well, you just set a floor for his salary. You can't give him a pay cut. You can't be
Yeah.
like, all right,
No.
Daniel Jones comes back and plays kind of mid, but like well enough that they win like 8 or 9 games or whatever, and the new, which would not save jobs, and the
No.
new front office comes in and is like, this is kind of really our choice. Like you got
We'll
to
give you
then back up the
25,
truck for
30.
him.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
give him 25 or 30 after
No.
that. Like he's this I don't know what the bidding what the fear was about a team lurking in the distance that was gonna come in with an offer that was gonna make Daniel Jones leave. I don't see that.
And even if so, I really do think right now you could replace his production. What a lot of people seem to forget about the Colts season, and yes, he was playing injured. He was playing injured. He frankly was. But before the injuries started to happen, we started to see the cracks of the old Daniel Jones tendencies start to form.
Yes.
And a lot of people forget that because they're like, oh, he would have made the playoffs. We were losing games that we shouldn't have been losing. We were playing in shootouts against Atlanta. Things were not looking great prior to those injuries, and those cracks had already started to form. And I
Before the
think,
literal crack.
right before the literal crack and tear. But my concern goes back to the roster construction too, and I think it's a bit stale. And like you mentioned, Michael Pittman Jr., he's been a good receiver for us. You know, he at times has been great in flashes, but we're starting to see that decline. His back has been an issue for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
He's not going to get better than he is now. He's only going to continue to decline. I'm very thankful that he's been with our team as long as he has. I've enjoyed watching him. But Daniel Jones and Michael Pittman Jr. over keeping an emerging, like you said, receiver and Alec Pierce is gross mismanagement. It's just gross mismanagement. When you have your guy who is your number one playmaker, because what that does too, that puts more pressure on Josh Downs. He has to play out of his position. He's a slot
Mhm.
receiver, right? He's great at it. He's great at being a slot receiver. But it puts more pressure on the run game because you don't have that downfield threat in Alec Pierce. It takes away those situations from Jonathan Taylor. It ruins your offensive flow. And because we've seen this roster construction be an issue, it handcuffs Shane Steichen. It really does. You know, Shane Steichen almost took a Gardner Minshew led team to the playoffs, right? Which is
Mhm.
fairly impressive in my opinion. He can't do anything if the roster around him sucks. He
Yeah.
can't do it. You know, he can only game plan so much.
And now you're, not only asking Daniel Jones to come back and just bounce back from these injuries, but you're taking his best weapon away.
Yep.
And you made a perfect point, Jesse. Alec Pierce on this roster just really helps everybody fit into the role that they're the best at. Josh Downs is great underneath after
Yep.
the catch. You have Michael Pittman, who's good on working the outside, intermediate area. That's his bread and butter. Alec Pierce, he was just a deep guy. Now he can run the whole route tree, and
He
is
can.
just like your top, an actual player that teams need to be afraid of and also can still take the top off the defense.
Yeah.
And then you have Tyler Warren, who kind of you're still figuring out his role, but he can pretty much do most of what
Yeah.
you need him to do underneath and across the middle. I just you can't replace Alec Pierce in one offseason. You don't have a first round pick. You couldn't even take a first round
No,
receiver if you wanted to,
no.
let alone like that's not even your most pressing need. You have
And
like
if you
zero
are a
edge rushers.
receiver, if you're a receiver on the market like a Wandale Robinson, so to speak, right? What why would you come to Indianapolis? What is pulling you into Indianapolis, right? You are finally a free agent. You have all this space to be able to go and find the place that you're going to be able to fit into. They haven't had an answer at quarterback in a decade, right? And the
Yeah.
closest thing we've had to it is coming off of two separate season-ending injuries,
To different
right?
legs.
To different legs. It's bonkers to me, right? Do
Yeah.
I hope Daniel Jones comes back and balls out? Yeah, he's a great dude, and I was very happy for him at the beginning of last year. But we can't sit here and pretend like he wasn't starting to decline a little bit before the injuries creeped in, right? He was
Yeah.
starting to show those tendencies.
The floor is low. Like he
It is.
played well. They were winning. I think they would have made the playoffs if he had stayed healthy. I don't think they would have been like 15-2. They wouldn't have been the one seed
No.
for sure. But I think you could have won that division or at least been a wild card team.
Yeah.
And now you're just I don't know. You're kind of backed into a corner because of your cat or your situation and the leverage that you don't have. And like I understand how they made the decision to go all in the way that they did. I just think it's bad.
Yeah. So speaking of mismanagement, we can't talk about mismanagement without mentioning the Cincinnati Bengals, and that's going to be the next situation that we have here with Trey
Mm.
Hendrickson. Free my man. Get him out of
Well, the good
Cincinnati.
news is he is gone. He's an
He,
unrestricted. There is absolutely
yes,
0% chance that Trey Hendrickson is on the Bengals.
get
It's
him
just not going to
out
happen.
of there. He already he already moved out. He's gone. He's put his stuff somewhere else. For that though, I've been thinking about some interesting fits. I know some people have tied him to the Colts. I think the Colts have mismanaged their way out of even being able to think about a guy like Trey Hendrickson. But with that being said, I would really like to see Trey on a team like Tampa. I would love to see
Tampa's a good one. I was thinking
I would
Tampa.
love to see him go to a place like Tampa, a team that's like right on the cusp who needs some defensive help right there. I think he would fit well and maybe like almost like how many times have I called the Chargers the San Diego Chargers on this
I
pod?
don't think you've ever called them the Los Angeles Chargers, if that
No,
answers the question.
no. So a team that is close that needs a little push on that defensive side. Maybe it's Chicago, I'm thinking, but to
Chicago
me,
doesn't have the money for Trey
that
Hendrickson.
is true. That is true. But
I've got over
I'm
the
definitely
cap
thinking
pulled up.
Tampa.
Excited to finally have over the cap pulled up on a podcast. We've made it, Jesse.
We
Um,
have made it.
yeah, I think Tampa's a great spot. I'm looking at teams that have space and have need. Obviously, Chargers, Titans, Raiders all could use him, especially the Raiders if they have to trade Max Crosby. Commanders have no edge. But where I really like Trey Hendrickson, and I want you to walk with me here,
Okay.
team that has two teams that have needs and have money. The Patriots could really
Ooh,
use a game-wrecking presence like Trey
they really
Hendrickson on
could.
the edge. They have the interior defensive lineman, but they really could use an elite edge rusher. Walk with me here. San
Okay.
Francisco.
Ooh,
They have
man.
33 million in effective cap space right now. That can obviously change, but I just really like the idea of San Francisco really doubling down on you have Nick Bosa coming back from his injuries, Fred Warner coming back from his injuries, Trey Hendrickson not the healthiest either, but if you could add him to that defensive front, get some better health on your offense and your whole team really, but especially your offense. I don't know that intrigues me. I like
That
that.
intrigues me a lot. I'm walking with you there.
I like that
I'm
one.
walking with you
Yeah,
there.
take a little bit of walk there. Um,
Alrighty. So some other guys that we have our eyes on. Ben, who are you focusing, kind of zeroing in on as you're interested to see where they're going for their free agency?
I'm really interested in Jalen Phillips
Okay.
personally. He is, I think, really good, and he played very, very well in Philadelphia after being traded there. He has a complicated injury history that I think
Right.
kind of might make that a little bit tough. So I'm interested in that. I'm really interested in Mike Evans if he does leave, which there seems to be some noise to that.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker is probably gone from Seattle. I'm very, very intrigued by that. And then I'm skipping some of the obvious, like obviously where Kyler Murray goes is kind of
Right. The big net.
a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
one. I don't feel like I really need to touch on that one. But two more that I'm interested in. The linebackers, there's like we hinted at, there's a lot of really good linebackers
There are.
that are out there. Your Quay Walkers, formerly of the Packers, your Devin Lloyd, who just had a huge year with the Jaguars. So I'm interested in where those guys kind of end up. And then the last one for me, Isaiah Likely has
He was on
really
my list as well.
flashed a lot for the Ravens. I don't know if they especially if they have to sign Linderbaum to a market-setting extension. I don't know if they, which may or may not happen, but if they have to do that, then he's definitely probably not coming back. I don't know. They need quality pass catchers, and losing him would be kind of tough, but he can play a bigger role than what he's been asked to do in Baltimore with the presence of Mark Andrews. So I'm very interested in Ravens tight end Isaiah Likely. I think that he could really change the fortunes of an offense that needs a playmaker at that position.
Yeah,
Who do you
likely was
got?
on my list as well. Looking at some of there's a lot of pretty productive running backs out there right now.
The running back
But
market is crazy.
yeah, and the one that I'm looking at, Tyler Algier, has kind of been forgotten about, and people forget when he was a full-time starter with Atlanta, he was pretty solid.
He was good.
He was pretty good, and obviously when you get a guy like Bijan, you're playing Bijan, right? But slowly but surely, Bijan kind of became the bell cow over time, and Algier kind of got forgotten about. I think he is primed for a second breakout or some kind of renaissance, if you will. He's still fairly young, and I'd be interested to see one of these running back hungry teams if they take a flyer on him. Obviously, you already mentioned Isaiah Likely. Another one I'm looking at is Juwan Jennings, big
Yes.
receiver type.
Love
Uh,
Jawan Jennings.
I think he could do well in a different system where he can be a little more ball dominant. In San Francisco, they're going to spread the wealth, right? Everyone's going to eat at some point, but for him, he's a guy that I really think in the right place could feast. I'm thinking somewhere like Baltimore, he would do well in. Just
Yeah.
a big receiver for you know, for
Lamar.
as a security blanket for somebody like Lamar Jackson, who really, frankly, hasn't really had one. And I think pairing him with someone like Zay Flowers would be a really
It's a
interesting
really
pickup
nice
too, because
pairing.
that opens up the top for Zay.
Jawan Jennings is one of those guys where it's like, I feel like every team could use a receiver like him.
Yeah.
And it comes down to what the price is going to be. There are receiver has of late been a really challenging free agent position because you
Yes.
just don't have a lot of good guys worth paying that reach free agency. That's partially why Alec Pierce is going to make like a stupid amount of money is because
Yes.
he's just by far the best receiver on the market. Jawan Jennings though could be a lot cheaper and it brings you a lot of really good things. I'm keeping an eye on him as well for sure. All right, Jesse, do you
Some.
have any teams that you're kind of looking at? This is kind of tricky because obviously the teams with the most cap space can
Yeah.
make the biggest splash in free agency, but are there any teams like this offseason that kind of have piqued your interest as like you could really make some moves here and kind of get my attention?
I'm actually going with Buffalo, and they already made a deal with
They sure did.
the Bears for DJ Moore. I think
They
is going to
paid a
be a
lot for
massive. They paid a
paid
lot
a
for it,
lot for that contract. Don't think I
but
would have done it, but
it's one of those things that it's a need, and it's been your need. If you don't address it, things are going to go down. Kind of situation.
yeah,
So it's possible they're not done either. I would be interested to see if they go after another receiver at some point.
I think they
I think
should. I mean,
I really think they should. I think somebody like a Wandale Robinson would fit into that role pretty well. And then you have Shakir in the slot, I think would work really well for them. As you already mentioned, the teams with a lot of cap space like Tennessee, I think Tennessee is primed to spend, and I wouldn't be surprised if they went and swung and overpaid like crazy for somebody. And are they crazy enough to go overpay for Trey Hendrickson? Maybe. Is he going to want to go into that situation again? Probably not. But you pay him a lot extra. Next thing you know what? I think I could go for another rebuild here for an extra 5 mil a year,
yeah,
something
Tennessee
along
was on
those
my list
lines.
as well. They just
Um,
they spent a lot last offseason and the last couple of years, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I like Cam Ward. We talked about that during the
Yeah.
season all those months ago. I just feel like they have the potential. They're not bereft of talent. They have some
No.
pieces, and they strike me. It almost never works. The Patriots are a historical outlier. It almost never works where the teams that spend a ton of money in free agency immediately turn that into reaching the Super Bowl. They're like an
Right.
extreme historical outlier. But I could see Tennessee being pretty competitive next year with a good
Yeah.
offseason.
Especially in that division. My last team that I'm going to be watching pretty closely, I think, is going to be Arizona. Just a miserable season, and they're finally blowing it up. I'm very, very interested to see where they go with quarterback, and I'll get into that once we get into our next little section here. Who are your teams you're looking at?
Yeah, I like Arizona because honestly, I don't feel like their team. Arizona's a good one because I don't feel like they're that bad. They just had
No,
all-time bad injury luck. They literally got to the point where they had so many guys on IR that they could not call up any more guys from the practice squad. Like I just some good health and addressing your roster in a couple places. Michael Wilson becoming Randy Moss really helped them out. And if you can get anything out of Marvin Harrison, then that's awesome. I didn't have the Cardinals on here, but they're definitely a team I'm thinking about. I think the Niners have kind of a sneaky ability to kind of
yeah,
reshape their roster a little bit. So I have them. I already kind of talked about them for Trey Hendrickson, but they have a little bit of money to play with. They have a lot of talent already there. It'll be interesting to me how they wield their space. Currently, they have on over the cap 33 million in effective cap space. That number will fluctuate wildly over the next couple days as, guys get cut, restructured, all that. But they intrigue me as a team that could make some noise. I'm going to cop out a little bit and say I think the Raiders roster is actually not abysmal.
no. If
You
they make
have
a
some
couple
pieces,
moves,
and especially if you're adding competent quarterback play, I still think Geno has a little bit left in the tank, but he clearly just couldn't do anything behind that Raiders offensive line. But you have the
no.
money now and the impetus with Fernando Mendoza coming to town. Go sign like two
Got to
to
protect
three
them.
starting linemen, add some talent to your defense. Find another receiver. Your offense has pieces, right? Like you
Yeah,
have some pieces there to help your quarterback.
got
I
the
think
running back.
yeah, you got the running back, you've got an elite tight end. You have some guys at wide receiver that can be role players for you. You need a top dog. I don't think you're getting that this offseason unless AJ Brown is like, I want to live in Vegas. But I don't know. I'm interested in them. I also have Washington on here mostly because they have so much turnover coming.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast where they were talking to a beat writer for the Commanders, and they said they could have as many as like 12 new starters next year,
Whew.
just because they
Whole
kind
side
of
of the ball.
they bought in on what they did 2 years ago and threw a bunch of money at veterans to try to get over the edge. Your Von Millers, your Debo
Hmm.
Samuels,
Bobby Wagner's.
Bobby Wagner's, and it just blew up in their face. So I'm really interested, and they have like almost no draft capital because
Right.
of all their trades, like the ill-fated Marshawn Lattimore trade. So I'm just more interested with the Commanders in how they choose to reshape their roster because they have a lot of money, and that's not typically what you would want to spend your money on if you're trying to build your young core, which is really what they need to do. So
Yeah.
I just kind of have my eye on them as like I'm interested in what you're going to do. I think it's important for us to note that the Chargers have the most cap space. They have about $100
That's
million
crazy to
dollars.
me.
However, under their current regime, they just have not really participated very heavily in free
No.
agency. So I think that's probably why Jesse and I both didn't really feature the
Yeah.
Chargers very heavily. Also, I hate them. So that's part of it. But that's not their model. Now, if they do start handing contracts out, you can color me intrigued from a neutral perspective. But
That would be an interesting Alec Pierce landing spot too.
it would be an interesting Alec Pierce landing spot. It would be a really good Trey Hendrickson landing spot.
Yeah,
I think that they could really spend because it's interesting because Jesse Minter has just done a hell of a job as their defensive coordinator, and he's
absolutely.
no longer there anymore. And they instead hired a guy who's never been an NFL defensive coordinator. So it's interesting, to see how the Chargers shake out there.
Absolutely. So our last section here is going to be 2 to 3 sleeper matches that we love. And I got a few of them here that are going to involve your Broncos and some
I also
quarterback
have a
play as
Broncos.
well.
I have three. One of them is maybe not as much sleeper. I just really thought of it, liked it so much I had to share it. And two of them are definitely sleepers. But
Honestly, one of them's definitely not a sleeper. I just wanted to throw it in here.
yeah, if you have a pairing of like,
I really want Malik Willis to the Cardinals. I think that
it
would be
just
a
makes
fun
a lot
pairing.
of sense, right?
It does. It
Like
just makes sense.
I like it's a pretty bad year to need a quarterback outside of
Yeah.
if you're the Raiders. I don't know.
Right.
I don't think I'm ready to. I don't think I'm fully bought in on Malik Willis. I would definitely give him a contract to find out. I
Yes.
don't think I'm quite ready to throw like 30 to 35 million at him, but that's just kind of what the market has dictated, I guess, that they've decided that's what he's worth.
I
But
wouldn't want
I'm with the
my
Cardinals.
team to do it, but I'm interested on behalf of another team to
Yes,
look
especially
at.
a team that's already kind of built for a mobile quarterback that can
Right.
scramble. That's how they've built around Kyler, and
Yeah.
then obviously that collapsed. I'm very interested in that. Kyler, by the way, Vikings, make it happen. Pick up the phone.
Vikings, absolutely.
Vikings or the team that I'm going to talk about next, which is the Dolphins.
That'd be
So my
interesting
first
too.
pairing is not Kyler to the Dolphins because I just assume that he's not going there. Tua cannot be your starter this year. I love my guy, but you
No.
just can't do it. But
No.
you also are paying him out the ass, so your
Right.
ability to find a new quarterback is kind of limited. So here's my sleeper for you, Jesse. What about Marcus Mariota for the Dolphins?
I I'm here for that, actually.
He's
I'm here
not
for
bad.
that.
He played some
No.
inspired football this year. He's not a
Yeah.
long-term solution, but you
No. He's a
literally
bridge,
can't
but
afford a long-term solution right now. And in at least you could get some stabilizing veteran play. You don't have to worry about his leadership. Obviously, that's
no.
never in question. Not to say Tua's is, but if you just want a steady quarterback who you don't have to worry about, like, man, if he really blows up, we're gonna have to pay him and like wonder if
Yeah.
it's real. Like Marcus Mariota is not that guy. He's kind of like Jacoby Brissett, and like, look, you're bringing him in. He's best off the bench, but like, if you got to start him, it's not the end of the world.
No, I'm here for that. I think that would actually be a
Also
perfect
left-handed, so you
yeah.
don't have to. I guess you're probably flipping everything because new coordinator anyway and
Yeah.
coach. But
That's fair. My second one is going to be Kenneth Gainwell. Played pretty well for Pittsburgh last year. Kenneth Gainwell to the Chiefs. I do think they're probably drafting Jeremiah Love, but if you bring in a second competent guy, I'm sitting here thinking you have two guys like that can handle the ball, and really most good rushing attacks have two legitimate dudes now. I think the two of them could play really well off of each other should they go that direction.
I really like Gainwell as like kind of you're not shopping at the top of the bin, but like a good value deal because he did play very well for Pittsburgh. I kind of don't think the Chiefs draft Jeremiah Love. One, because there's been a lot of smoke about the Saints in front of them. But also two, the only time that they've ever valued the running back position that high with that high of a draft pick, it blew up in their face with
Correct.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I don't know. I feel like the Chief and like a lot of the noise from some of the Chiefs media has been like they never get to pick this high, and so they view this as an opportunity to add like a position like offensive tackle or edge rusher where
Yeah,
it's a lot
absolutely.
harder to find a blue chip player.
Absolutely.
Also, I think part of that is just cope because I really don't want Jeremiah Love on the Chiefs.
I don't
You
want him
don't.
there either.
This isn't one of my sleeper picks, but I kind of really like the idea of Travis Etienne in Kansas City.
That would be fun too.
I
That'd
think
be
that
fun.
he would instantly be their best running back in like 8 years. Um,
Correct.
and he's not going to cost you like Kenneth Walker money or what Brees Hall would have gotten in the open market. But that's a good one. My second one, this one is not really as much of a sleeper. I just really like the fit. Put Mike Evans in San Francisco.
That would be nuts.
Let
That
my
would be
man,
absolutely nuts.
let my man, him and Ricky Pearsall as your top two receivers is a great combination.
Hmm.
Then you also add in obviously Kittle, McCaffrey, all the other toys that you have there. Look, I think the Niners could turn around very quickly next year. Well, I say turn around; they made the playoffs. I think
Right.
they could immediately reestablish themselves as a legit. They made the playoffs, but they were not like you're not going to this to
Yeah.
the big dance, buddy. Like great season, but you're not going. I think you add Mike Evans there, especially if he takes a little bit of a discount as kind of like a, I'm an older receiver. I just want a shot at a championship, another
Yeah.
one. I like it.
Yeah. I'm
I
there
would
for
have put
that.
Mike Evans in Buffalo, but then they traded for DJ Moore.
Yeah. No, I'm there for that. That would be a really interesting one. My last one is for your Denver Broncos, as you affectionately call them.
The Bonks, baby.
And J.K. Dobbins, decent running back, right? But just cannot stay healthy
I
for the
doubt they
life of
pay
him.
him.
I don't think they're paying him. I am looking at Rico Dowdle. I think Rico Dowdle would be a solid pickup for
Yeah,
Denver because when he was the bell cow last year for Carolina, again, that's Carolina. That's a very different situation. Yes, they made the playoffs, but it's Carolina,
they had a great
right?
run game.
They had a great run game. He can play multi facets of the game as a running back. I think he'd be a really solid pickup for him, and honestly, I would probably pick him pretty high in fantasy if he ended up over there.
Yeah, it's hard to know what they're going to do at the running back position. They need to add somebody because RJ was good, but I don't think RJ is quite ready to be
No.
your dependable bell cow. But I like Rico. I could get behind that. I tend to think that they draft somebody. I don't know. The
Probably.
way that they valued that position under Peyton is that, or I could see J.K. Dobbins coming back if there's, you get through free agency, he's still out there, and it's like, hey, look, man, we like you. You worked well for here, but we just can't give you big money. I could
Yeah.
see that happening. All right, I have a Broncos
Kind of
one as
deal.
well, but we're gonna run out of time, so let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back with my Denver Broncos sleeper free agent. Oh. All right, welcome back. We were on a big cliffhanger there as I was getting ready to reveal my sleeper free agent that I really like for the Denver Broncos.
I've been clawing at my desk.
It's kind of two guys because one is a little heftier of a higher of an ask, and one is really more of a true sleeper. I would love to see the Broncos, depending on where if the market is reasonable, I would love to see David Njoku wearing the blue and orange.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
And if his market is a little too hot, Johnny Smith as a
Yeah.
guy that can make plays from that position, be a mismatch along the formation. Evan Ingram did not give them what they wanted to.
No.
He's not going anywhere. Sean Payton probably is just going to re-sign Adam Troutman for the 100 millionth time in his coaching career. But take a swing, spend a couple dollars, and just pick up a guy that can make plays with the ball in his hands from that position, which is what
Yeah.
Evan Engram is supposed to be. But give yourself two of those guys, and you can still keep some of our, more blocking tight ends on the
Yeah.
team. We've got a couple younger guys that are not bad utility guys, but give another get another weapon, or even if you want to
Absolutely.
line up Yanni Smith kind of in the slot sometimes. Like you could do that. I really like that pairing. I like also the money is tough, but I like somebody like Quay Walker on the Broncos or
Yeah.
Nakobe Dean really is who I wrestled with like Nakobe Dean on that defense.
Yeah.
But I
I'm
still
here for it.
like tight end.
I'm here for that. Alrighty, let's transition into some ball. It is March, folks. Is this the first March pod? I can't even remember.
This is the first
Yeah,
March pod.
yeah.
It's March
It's
5th
March 5th. So
as we
yes,
record.
first March pod that we are recording. It is time for the madness. Rest in peace, Greg Gumbel. We miss you every day. But with that, we are heading straight into conference week and the conference tournaments, and
Women's
I'm very,
tournaments are
very
already going.
excited. It is honestly like I remember growing up, I didn't really pay attention to the conference tournaments as much, but there is just some absolute chaos that happens during these weeks, and I'm very, very excited. So we're going to give you some predictions for our conference tournaments for both men's and women's basketball moving into this. So we'll just go down a list of the conferences, and we'll give you our winners for both men's and women's, starting with the Big 12. For this one, the Big 12 in basketball, I think, is in a better state than it's been in a while
It's
overall.
really good.
It's surprisingly
Both
good.
men and women.
Absolutely. And for this one, for the men's side, I'm taking Iowa State. And for the women's side, I'm going to go ahead and take West Virginia.
Okay. For the men's side, took Arizona, and my reasoning, it was really tough. Arizona
They're the
obviously
favorites.
is the favorite, but I just looked. You have four teams in the top 10, and then Kansas, who's right outside the top 10, and is obviously always a factor. And of those five teams, Arizona has a 5-game win streak, and several of the others, Texas Tech, Iowa State, and Kansas, are all technically on losing streaks, or Texas Tech just lost their last game. But I'm gonna go with Arizona. They've been one of the best teams in basketball all year long. I think that they just have what it takes to win that conference tournament. Conference tournaments, I want to also caveat, Jesse and I are probably gonna pick a lot of favorite teams. it's just kind of hard to
It is.
predict a conference tournament because sometimes teams like Kemba Walker's UConn is a famous example. Like sometimes they just get red hot and cruise right through, and then other times it's just like, yeah, the team that was in front just wins because they were the best team all season in the conference. So I went with Arizona on the men's side, and then on the women's side, I picked TCU, who's also the favorite, but Olivia Miles is just her.
She is her.
And TCU also on a long win streak, 6 game win streak, including 3 top 10 wins or top 20 wins. They beat Baylor twice. Sorry, Baylor, you tough to run into the Horned Frogs a couple times, but I'm gonna go with TCU. They're the favorites in the top seed in that conference as well.
Right, the Big East. This one was pretty easy for me. I'm just going double UConn, men's and women's. The men's one I think will be a little more of a struggle. Not even a struggle necessarily. I just think it'll be more competition. The UConn women's team is undefeated. They have Sarah Strong Player of the Year. I don't think there's really going to be anyone that can touch them at the bare minimum until the Final Four of the women's tournament. So for the Big East, I went double UConn.
So my notes for the women's is UConn is literally undefeated and only one other team has single digit losses in the conference. I don't feel like I need to spill a lot of ink on that. I picked a little bit of an upset here. I think UConn is an extremely dangerous team and they're playing with an edge. Villanova has won a lot of their only losses in the last like month and a half are to UConn and then once to St. John's and just an absolute non-competitive game. I don't know. UConn interests me. You've got I mean Villanova, sorry, on the men's side. Tyler Perkins and Akaden, I might be butchering his name. I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of hoop broadcasts. So take that with a grain of salt. But they're playing really well. They've got a forward, Duke Brennan, who's averaging a double-double and putting up some pretty strong shooting numbers from the floor. I don't know. I just didn't want to pick complete chalk here, and I feel like UConn probably is destined for a longer tournament run than conference run. So I went with UConn or Villanova in the men's. But yeah, it's UConn in the women's. There's no reason to even pretend.
Right, the ACC for the men's, I went with Duke. I think that one is pretty straightforward. ACC is great conference in basketball, not so much in football, obviously, but I think Duke's got this one. For the women's, walk with me here. I'm taking Louisville, and what I really like about the Louisville Cardinals on the women's side, they're averaging 80 points a game. Great offense, but they have four players averaging double figures, but their top scorer is averaging 11 and a half.
It's
They are
balanced.
spreading that ball around. Balance, power of friendship kind of basketball, I think is going to take them really far.
That's good. That's good. I like that. For the men, I went with the number one team in the country, Duke. I said Duke until different. I don't know. There's a lot of good. Virginia is intriguing to me. So is Miami and North Carolina. And Clemson came out of the gates red hot this season and has kind of faltered down the back stretch. But they're always a factor. And in the men's, for the women's, I took no, Notre Dame. But here's
Of
why.
course you did.
But here's why. Listen, first of all, if you'll notice a trend, I like to pick the teams in the conference tournaments that are hot. They have the longest win streak in the conference, 6 in a row.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
They had a bit of a slow start to the season. They lost a couple games kind of in the middle. They lulled in the middle, really. They lost 4 of their 9 losses were in a 5 game stretch to number 9 Louisville, number 1 UConn, Clemson, and Cal. And the Cal was at Cal after being on the far East Coast against Miami and Clemson. I'm getting way too in the weeds here, but Hannah Hidalgo is maybe a questionable individual, but she's a good ball player.
She can ball.
And I don't know, why not? I literally said, why not? They're hot.
I'm here for it. Alrighty, our next one is going to be the A10. And the A10 doesn't get as much love as it once did. And I think they're kind of in a transition period, especially on the men's side. But for the A10, I really just wanted to talk about St. Louis again, the
I knew
Billikens.
you did. As soon as I saw the Atlantic 10 on here, I'm like, this man has an agenda that he just wants
I
to push.
really 100% have an agenda. This is the second week in a row. I'm going to shout out the Billikens. If they get first round bounced, I'm going to have to hide my face from society for a couple weeks. But Obviously, I think you can probably guess I'm taking him to win the men's side. And for the women's side, I had to do some research on the A10 and found out that I actually am really liking what Rhode Island is doing on the women's side.
Yeah. Do you have a reason for it?
No,
That's
I think
okay because my women's
the
side,
metrics look good.
Jesse and I love women's basketball. I feel like that's important to clarify. I can be honest and say that I don't know jack about the Atlantic 10 Conference women's basketball
The metrics look good.
landscape this year. I took George Mason.
I almost
Again,
took
they had a
George
longer
Mason actually.
if on the women's side they had a longer win streak than anybody else. Look, that's not
My
a good
man loves a
metric.
win streak.
It's not a good metric, but I don't know. They tied for the first seed with Rhode Island, and I don't know. I went for the vibes. I decided on the men's side. This was not intentional to go against you, but I'm taking VCU, and here's why.
Okay.
St. Louis is really good. It's not really a slander on St. Louis, but they've played VCU twice and beaten VCU twice. I think it's very difficult to beat a team three times in one calendar year.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I went with VCU, who has also been red hot, has only lost um once since what day? January 10th. So pretty much one time this calendar
Yeah.
year, and it was at St. Louis. They lost by 13. Their previous loss to St. Louis on their home court was by 9 points. So I mean, it's not like a buzzer beater, right? But they've just
Right.
really handled their business outside of that. And I don't know, man. I like when there's a good VCU team. So I went with the Rams, even though St. Louis is probably the better team. Also, VCU's got a guard named Brandon Jennings, and that appeals to me. So I had actual reasons for picking them, which is I think it's
I
hard to
love
beat
that.
a team
No,
like
I
that.
agree. College hoops is better when VCU is in the tournament when they're playing well. For the SEC, your favorite conference here. For the men's side, I'm going with the Alabama Crimson
Let's
Tide.
go, baby.
And I will tell you why. LeBaron is him.
Baron Fowler. Did
LeBaron.
you see the clip of him like shaking his head like I can't believe they
Oh
put
yeah.
this man on me and then he just
Oh
drained
yeah.
the game winner. Would not
He
have played
has
well if
all
he
the
had not hit
sauce.
the shot. But
He has got all the sauce. But here's why I'm really excited about LeBaron is that college hoops, I watch a lot of NBA basketball, right?
yeah.
And when I go from the NBA to watch college hoops, a lot of times it is hard for me to do so because of the efficiency numbers and just the shot selection in college is just obviously not up to a pro standard. And it's not fair for me to hold them to that standard. But when I'm watching basketball, like I want it to look good. And there's sometimes that college hoops just doesn't have that same aesthetic
hmm
that the NBA does. For me, watching LeBaron play, he has that aesthetic and he also has that efficiency. He's almost shooting 50-40, right? He's shooting right now, it's
He's
50.7.
50.7 and 39 from three.
Yeah. And it just looks good. It just looks smooth. And there's something about efficiency this time of year that I think is going to end up dominating over time. And in a conference tournament situation, you need someone that has that kind of swagger, and he is 100% carrying that swagger. On the women's side, I am taking Texas. I'm taking the Longhorns for this one because Madison Booker, as you mentioned earlier about another player, is her. She's averaging 19, almost 6.5, and 4 assists this year. She is absolutely dominating as a junior for the Longhorns. Has progressively gotten better throughout her career. She just put 21-9 against Alabama, 18-5 against Georgia. I think Texas takes the SEC for the women's this year.
I've actually watched a decent amount of Texas over the last couple years, given my wife. Madison Booker is just like she just plays such good basketball,
She
man. Like
does.
she's
Just a
a
good brand
very
of ball.
intelligent post player. She picks her spots really well. She fights really hard on the glass. I took Texas as well on the women's side. By the way, in case for those of you who aren't as plugged into women's basketball, um, the teams ranked third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh in the nation all play in the SEC.
It's
It's
stacked.
actually an insane conference, and I was like, I really don't know, man. And that's not because I don't know anything about this conference. It's because there's like zero separation between the top of the conference. I wrote Madison Booker is awesome. And then I actually looked the bracket for this one because I was like, I think that's kind of important,
That's
especially
gonna
when
be
you have
where,
so
yeah,
many
yeah.
good teams. I'm like, I really just need to see the paths here. Texas plays the winner of Alabama and Tennessee right now. Actually, oh, no, no, wait, that's tomorrow. So Alabama and Tennessee are playing right now, and Texas will play the winner tomorrow. They beat them, assuming Vanderbilt, who's the 2 seed and has had a really great season, does not get upset. Then they would play Vanderbilt, who obviously having a great season, but is not South Carolina. And they wouldn't have to, or LSU, who LSU's the 4 seed, but still, LSU has a track record. So you wouldn't have to play LSU or South Carolina until potentially the championship. So I like that path a little bit more than the path for any of the other contenders. On the men's side, I also took the Alabama Crimson Tide, and here's
I
why.
expect nothing less.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to because it was a reasonable. Florida hasn't lost in a month and a half, but Alabama has only lost once since losing to Florida on February
Yeah,
1st. And I mean, LeBaron Philon is him. What I have, I mean, I don't ever really have full confidence in Alabama when it gets to the tournament because when we're not that great is when we do well, and when we seem like we're gonna make a run, then we fall flat on our face. But their three leading scorers are all guards, and guard play can make a big difference in the postseason.
absolutely.
You know, Aiden Holloway and LeBaron Philon are tested. I also like that of all of our players that average at least 15 minutes a game, the worst free throw percentage is 69.6, and that's Charles Bediako, who I don't know if you've been following college basketball, will not be playing in the NCAA or
He
conference
will
tournaments.
definitively not be playing.
His season is over. So our worst regular guy is well outside of London Jemison, who plays 15.3 minutes a game at 59%. He's our worst free throw shooter of guys that play real minutes. But everybody else is 70 or above. Which I think just having steady guards, good free throw shooting, and 3-point ability really gives me a good profile, and also Roll Tide. So.
Yeah, of course, roll tide.
Florida
Last
is
one.
scary. There's a couple teams that can do it, but I'm going with my boys.
Oh yeah. Last one for our predictions here is going to be the Big Ten. Now, on the men's side,
How did you come up with this order, by the way? I was looking at your order and I was like, it's not alphabetical. It makes no sense.
literally just how I remembered which conferences
Big
I
Ten
needed to
last.
remember.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So let's
truly
remember that.
interesting.
Too
Go
close to
Hoosiers.
home.
Um, with that being said, I'm picking Michigan for the men's side. And this is really the one that like I'm picking the favorite to win. Uh, I had a struggle with this one, and I was this close to convincing myself that I was going to take Nebraska because I'm buying into the Nebraska hype this year. They
That's
only lost by 3 to Michigan. And then as I was scrolling through their recent schedule, they got absolutely Brazilian waxed by UCLA a couple a couple nights ago by 20 points to an unranked UCLA team. And because of that, I could not in good conscience pick Nebraska to win this tournament. Great season from them,
they get
but I'm
Brazilian
going with
flag.
Michigan. And
Michigan.
then,
No, go ahead. Sorry, I forgot you
are
hadn't
you
done
good?
your
You're good.
women's.
On the women's side, I am taking UCLA simply because they have a two-man game that I think has been absolutely ridiculous. Lauren Betts, standing at 6'7"
Crazy.
as a center,
She's so
is
good.
averaging 16 points and 9 rebounds, and also 3 assists for a college center is nuts to me. And then Kiki Rice averaging 15 points and 6 rebounds from the guard position. I legitimately think if any team is going to have a chance to beat UConn this year, and I really don't know if there's going to be much of a chance, it's going to be UCLA on the women's side. So I'm taking them to win the conference.
I'll start with the women's. I also took UCLA. I think they're hungry. They made the first Final Four in program history in a long time. Not in program history, but in a very, very,
A
very long
very
time.
long time, yeah.
Actually, it might be program history. UCLA has kind of like a decent history in basketball, but no, it was literally their first time in a very long time. They've made a couple of two other Elite Eights. It's their first Final Four ever. Um, but and they had some NIT WNIT success, but Lauren Betts is so good. She's just like a really strong post player, like you said. I mean, being 6'7" helps, but they're really good. So on the Big Ten side for the men, Michigan has been far and away the best team in the country, not named Duke this season. Mostly because they, as you put it, have Brazilian waxed the hell out of teams. But I've decided I put Michigan State or Michigan because truthfully, whoever wins that matchup on, I think it's Sunday that they play each other. Yeah, Sunday. You have my slight lean, but I think that was my thought process putting this together. But I think I'm going to go with Michigan. Michigan State is really good, but there's just been enough kind of like strange, funky stuff going on over there to where like I believe them by them as a high caliber team, but I don't think I can pick them as the favorite. Like even though some of it is really funny, like Tom Izzo telling his player that he couldn't guard his mom, who's like
That's
99 years
crazy.
old, and then
It's insane.
somebody sent you know how I feel about AI imagery, but somebody did send a poster of that I'm choosing to believe for my peace of mind was bad Photoshop, but a poster of his mom, Izzo's mom, dunking on that guy, and sent it to
Insane
Izzo's mom,
behavior.
which is hilarious. So I'm gonna go with Michigan in that one as well.
All right. Those are not obviously all of them, but a lot of the marquee conferences for the conference tournaments coming up. We will have lots more to talk about
You
with
don't want to
college
do Big
hoops.
Sky?
I mean, if you
Could you
really need
name
to
a
do
Big
the Big
Sky team
Sky,
right now, gun to your head?
Big Sky, I couldn't. Truly.
Portland State's the number one seed there.
Portland State.
Yeah.
I can name one. It's Portland State.
Okay.
Thank you for putting me on game.
I got you, King. We should have talked Ivy League, even though we know nothing about these teams. It's just fun to talk Ivy League because
I'm not kidding. I almost did it, but I was like, we have to cut something somewhere at some point. And
fair.
if I go over time because we're talking Ivy League hoops, I cannot sleep
That's what
tonight.
the real sickos are here for. Our friends and family are here because they love us, but the one sicko listener is here because they're hoping against hope that we talk
Our
Princeton.
one
Yeah.
listener from Taiwan's like, "Yo, where's the Yale Harvard
How's
Discord?"
Cornell look this year?
All right, let's get into some fun. Let's talk some music
Yeah,
here.
enough of this bullshit. Let's have fun.
Let's have a good time. I'm not having fun. Let's do our playlist game for this week. I'll go ahead and get started for this one. And
By the way, sorry,
you're
this is the first time I've ever remembered the phrase I gave you.
incredible. It was a good one. It was a good one. And it was "Let Me Get That Smothered and Covered." And if you spent any amount of time in the American South, you know "Smothered and Covered" from Waffle House. And I had a lot of fun with this one. And I had one song at the beginning that is just a little on the nose, and the rest of it is kind of a tour of what I think is a good mixture of Southern music that has come out
Okay,
in,
I
in the
like that.
modern
I was
era.
kind of hoping you would go that route.
And I actually really enjoy this playlist. So the first one that we're going to start with is not from a Southern artist, but this is going to be Waffle House by the Jonas Brothers, and
I
just a
didn't know that was the
banger.
song.
It
Is that
is.
off their newest album?
It's yeah, it's off their
That's
most
why I
recent
don't know it.
one. It's actually a really solid banger. And from here, for songs 2 through 10, I'm going "So Fresh and So Clean" by Outkast.
It has to be on
Absolute
there.
classic. We're going down to NOLA for some Lil Wayne, 6 foot, 7 foot.
Okay.
Honestly, my favorite song of his. It was on one of the Maddens years ago, and it has just been a part of my life since then.
It was on one of those Maddens in the sense that the instrumental was there, and then like
It just
maybe 20 words. I
That's
love
very, very.
when Madden and 2K do that. I'm like, why even include this song at this point?
They had oh gosh, which one did they have? I think they had "First Class" by Jack Harlow on 2K a couple years ago. I'm like, what are we doing here? What? We've lost the plot. Anyway, moving forward, mixing in a little bit of rock music. We're going with Tennessee's own Kings of Leon with "Radioactive," my favorite song of theirs. And then Bowling Green, Kentucky's Cage the Elephants, the song "Trouble." Um, walk with me on this one.
Do you consider Kentucky the South?
I, in a sense, yes, I do.
Well, you're
For
wrong, but that's
for
good to
all
know.
intents and purposes, you're gonna walk with me on this one as well. And I'm going with Nelly from St. Louis. And I know that's not the traditional South, but his
I'm
early
after is
music and
Kentucky.
but a lot of his early music emulates the stuff that was coming out of the Atlanta
Let
hip
me
hop
see
scene
which
at the
Nelly song
time.
you picked, and then
Country Grammar.
I'll allow it. I was hoping for Air Force Ones, but
I almost picked
Country
Air Force
Grammar is
Ones.
also good. It
I'm
just
going
fits
with Country
thematically
Grammar.
your playlist, and you needed it because you needed to sell me on Kentucky or Missouri being the South.
I did. We're going with the Doobie Brothers. Listen to the music, and then Georgia's own Bubba Sparks, Back in the Mud.
I love
Absolute
that
banger.
theoretically shuffling this playlist could go from Doobie Brothers right into 6 foot, 7 foot.
It's incredible. It's such a good listen. Then we're going into Usher, Love in This Club, and then finishing off with some Migos and Stir Fry.
Has to be done. All right, that's a good one. I like that a lot. I had another deranged prompt. This one Jesse came up with. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's sertraline, which, for those who are unfamiliar with what sertraline is traditionally prescribed for, it's prescribed for depression. So I decided to approach this playlist by putting, I think I ended up with 11 songs. I always go 10 to 12, and
You
usually
always break the rules, man.
I don't know that we ever established it was only 10. I feel like we said 10 to 12, but maybe we said 10 and it's just we've recorded enough pods that I've like, what if? I had 12 and then I cut it down to 11.
I
I went
respect
with
it.
11 songs, all by women
Okay.
who are all kind of like, well, actually, one of them I don't remember. Well, I started this playlist, added a song to it, and did not remember the reason, but figured it had to be valid and good, so I left it on there when I started, came back to it. Um, so I don't know about that one, but the other 10 all fit this kind of like I went with like kind of like fun lighthearted bops
Okay.
that you might have, if you were treating your depression clinically. And some of them are kind of a little bit like topically, actually most of them involve discussing kind of like no good men or something in that
I'm here
situation.
for it. I'm here for it.
So the so that's I think that's why I have the first one on here because it's not
Quick
necessarily a bop.
quick caveat for that, folks, that if you're not familiar with me, I am very open about my experience with my mental health. You know, I got my tattoo here on my wrist. This is not making light of anything by any means. I actually took sertraline at some point and I have since switched over to a different one,
Jesse said
right?
I'm in this tweet. It's okay. I
I
could
am
say that.
here. Yeah, I am here for it. Like, so
I'm
please,
also
please
depressed.
continue.
I could say that. No, I'm just teasing you, Jesse. Yeah, we want to be
We'll
clear. We're
talk
not
after.
mocking depression. We have all experienced. This podcast is very pro like mental health, and we have
Yes.
all dealt with depression. Okay, so my playlist, back to the game, um, starts with "I Knew You Were Trouble," the Spotify single by Sabrina Carpenter,
Incredible.
which I'm now realizing I have two Sabrina Carpenter songs. That was a mistake.
I
This is
honestly, when
why
you
I have to
started
sit and do it in
saying,
one sitting.
when you honestly started talking about it being about like no men's kind of situation, I assumed there was going to be more than one Sabrina Carpenter song, and
Yeah,
I
there's
would have been
there,
upset
there's
with you
only
had there not
there's
been.
only two. The second one is Bedchem.
Okay.
So, that goes kind of like more like the fun
Oh
boppy.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I have Agora Hills by Doja Cat, which is more
Excellent.
manic than anything else. But is a great song. Met Him Last Night by Demi Lovato featuring Ariana Grande. Absolute, excuse me, absolute banger of a song. Leave a Trace by Churches.
Okay.
Also an
I
absolute
love some churches.
I read recently that they kind of reunited and might make a new album and go on tour,
Ooh.
and I will pay
Oh.
any dollar amount to see Churches
I'll
because
be
I've always
right next to
bemoaned
you.
that they kind of broke up before I saw them. Cry for Me by Camila Cabello. I felt like she had some kind
Good
of
song.
fun. Her newer music kind of left a lot to be desired for me, but her
Yes.
older some of her older albums I actually really
Yeah,
like.
her early solo stuff is solid.
Yes. No Body No Crime, Taylor Swift.
Excellent.
Just really fit the vibe. Off to the Races by Lana Del Rey.
Oh, yeah, yeah, there it
Also,
is.
also a little bit manic. Mess by Chelsea Cutler. I have Catfish by Tamar Braxton, which
Mhm.
a little bit of a deeper cut,
Yeah,
but really, really, really fun. And then, of course, Your Love Is My Drug by Kesha to close out our
excellent.
playlist about
Stuck the landing.
medication.
Stuck the landing. I love it. As always, these playlists will be available to you if you go to our Instagram. There is a link tree
Yeah, I'm gonna share it with
available.
Jesse right now, so he can't
He will
bother
be
me later.
sharing it with me. My playlists uh folders on my Spotify are
I'm
starting to
sure
get
it's
a little out of
heinous.
control,
I'm sure
but
it's heinous.
we're getting there. We're getting there day at a time. But like we said, if you have a Spotify account, you are more than welcome to save and listen to those playlists that we have for each of these podcasts. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend you go and listen to some of them. We have a great time putting them together. So our next game is going to be the regular people injury reports.
I had
And
so much fun with this one.
this one
I hope
I'm very excited about. You know, we hear about all of these different injuries that these athletes have and how they came about and how long they're going to be out. And we have so much detail about the medical history of all these athletes. So we decided to have some fun and put together some for just some regular everyday Joes. So we'll go one at a time and kind of trade back and forth. And the first one I have is Larry Jones. He's 45 years
Oh
old.
God, we took the same approach. Let's go.
Larry Jones is going to be day to day with sciatica symptoms. He's been really struggling with it lately, and coach wants to make sure that he's 100% going into the playoffs.
I love that we because I was like I hope Jesse does this as deranged as I did because every single one of mine is a name. It's not just like, oh, this guy. So, and I wrote them out kind of as like tweets, like how like your Schefter notification coming
I love
across.
it.
So the first one is Donald Person will be reevaluated in 2 weeks after turning too sharply and separating his shoulder in the doorway of his own home. Because that's a problem that I have. My depth
Oh,
perception of the
yes.
doorway is so
Donk.
bad. And I always catch my insulin pump when it's on the arm. And I think it's just because I'm
Oh,
like accounting for the minimum no amount of space I need for like my body, and I don't think of the pump. So
donk.
I've like ripped it off straight off just
Oh.
doorways. Yeah, that hurts. But Donald
All
Person
right.
reevaluated in 2 weeks.
My second one is Kevin Michaels, 34 years old, will be out another 1 to 2 weeks due to a shoulder impingement from trying to carry it all in on one trip.
That that's relatable.
That is relatable.
I I do that. Like it happens.
We all do.
Josh, that guy, 33, questionable to return to the office after spilling his hot soup all over his hand and suffering minor burns.
We'll keep you updated on that one if we hear any more from the training staff. My third one is another member of the Jones family. Larry's lovely wife Jane, 44, is set to miss 6 to 8 weeks with a high ankle sprain after missing the last step on the staircase. It's going to be a tough
Hate
loss
to
for
see
the
it.
Jones family. She'll be out for 6 to 8 weeks, and that is fairly conservative on that. We've seen that take up to 10 to 12 at times. So, yes, Miss Jane Jones will be out 6 to 8.
Jenny JJ Just the Girl is out with a core injury after believing she was ready for that CrossFit class when she was actually more We Fit status.
Excellent, excellent. Kelly Lawson, 26 years old, will return to action tonight after her left calf muscle cramped up and she was heard screaming, "This is the end."
That's a good one. 29-year-old Randy Rando is reportedly suffering from severe arthritis. She tried retracting individual emails after accidentally hitting reply all on the company-wide email
Oh,
that went out.
no. All right, my last one is going to be yet another member of the Jones family. They've had a rough week. They've had a rough go at it.
They need some milk.
The depth is not going very well. Jacob Jones, the son of Larry and Jane, 21 years old, is questionable with a bruised ego after failing to mansplain the NBA second apron to an indifferent crowd of bachelorettes who frankly know ball.
I love that we saved our nuclear weapons for the final injury. That's so good. Not the mansplain. John Q. Somebody tore his Achilles running to the break room when the leftover donuts email went out. He'll be out for 4 weeks and then we'll ramp back up to health, beginning with one-on-one spreadsheet work and individual drills before ramping up to collaborative OneDrive files.
The ramping. All right, that was a lot of fun.
That
We got
was
to do
fun.
that one again.
I had
We
fun.
got to
I
do
was
that one.
cackling like a madman. And you know what's sick and twisted, Jesse? You did it all off the dome, probably in a quick sitting, didn't you?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's what I did. I just sat down and started typing, and then that's what I got.
We have issues.
Very
Alrighty, we
much
don't
so.
have enough time to start our next segment here. We have two more segments left.
You don't think we can squeeze the next one in? You got a lot to say.
About the Hall of Mid.
Yeah, the
I
Hall of
guess we
Myth.
could do it. All right, let's do it. We got 5 minutes. Let's do it. Apparently, I'm being rushed through this now.
All right, we can
Um,
take time if you want.
it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You've made your point clear. Um, so this next one is going to be a reoccurring segment we have on here that's going to be affectionately called the Hall of Mid. We're not talking about guys who are terrible. We're not talking about guys who are even good. We're talking about some sports and athletes of guys who are right in the middle,
Perfectly
who
pedestrian.
perfectly pedestrian, who might have shown us some things every now and then of guys that we liked. So my first for the inaugural class, my first is going to be Mike Hart, the running back for the Indianapolis Colts. I'm not talking about his college
Good
career.
one.
I'm talking about only his Indianapolis Colts career. He was the first 100-yard rusher in several seasons for the Colts at that point on a random Monday Night Football game against the Houston Texans.
It's
I thought he was the
disturbing. I remember
future,
that vivid.
and then he never did anything again. So Mike Hart is going to be my first nominee.
I would like to induct with my first selection here, Trevor Siemian, Broncos quarterback.
Yes.
He was a seventh round pick, either a sixth or a seventh. I think it was a seventh round pick. And he started and showed a little bit of promise. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of a buyer. Like he's got some room to grow. And he just like never built on it and then bounced around a lot as a journeyman. But there was that one season where I was like, maybe we just solved our. This was in the when the Broncos were in the quarterback wilderness. And I post Peyton and pre Bo Nix, and I was like, I don't know, maybe he's got something to him. And then he did not, in fact, have something to him. But he wasn't like awful, and he had a lengthy career, and I probably qualified for pension, so good on him.
Right. This next one was actually the panel had a unanimous vote for this one, which I thought was very interesting. First ballot unanimous vote for Mr. Tony Snell,
Had
Mr.
to be done.
Cardio. Mr.
Indirect.
Cardio, if you're not familiar, he once had a 28-minute game in the NBA where he recorded exactly zero stats, no points, no rebounds, no assists, no fouls, nothing, no
He was just
blocks.
he did about as much as you did, you and I
Yeah,
did in that game.
he was out there just for vibes. Not even an accidental assist, right? Nothing.
The no fouls part is what's crazy to me. Like you're playing 28 minutes and you're not playing tight enough defense to get a whistle.
Nothing.
They call that a Snell
Absolutely
now in
nothing.
basketball if you put up no stats, which not a thing you want named after you.
So yes, he is going in with 100% of the vote. Absolutely unprecedented.
I'm gonna go ahead and go with my second selection here. Also basketball. CJ Miles.
Yes.
He played for the Pacers and pretty much every other team in the league at some point. His last accolade, I looked this up. His last accolade that he earned was in high school as a high school All-American, and then received no accolades in college or pros. But he was always like he had a season. One season he averaged 13 points per game. Like he
Yep.
wasn't bad, but
3J Miles.
he 3J Miles. Like, he had a couple games where you're like, oh shit, and then mostly was kind of just like a background role player. But I loved some CJ Miles back in the day.
Absolutely. My last one is going to be from the MLB, and it's going to be pitcher Mike Morgan, who pitched 22 seasons for 12 different franchises and amassed a record of 141 wins to 186 losses. Just completely horribly average
What you call it
for
innings eater.
22 years. The fact that you have been in the league long enough to amass 186 losses is impressive in and of itself. So those are my first three nominees for the Hall of Mid.
I think it's pretty impressive that he pitched 22 years but only had about 320 decisions. That's not a
Right.
great average. It tells you that you can be counted on sometimes, but not a lot. All right, I got a minute and a half here. I told you we could do it. I did unfortunately induct two Broncos into the Hall of Mid. This is our well, no, this is not our first active player because who was your second guy?
Tony Snell. So
Tony Snell.
yeah,
He's still playing, right?
is he still active?
I don't know.
I don't know. Continue. I'll
I'm
look it up.
inducting Tim Patrick. Love me
Excellent pick.
some TP Streets. His best season was about 700 yards, and he suffered a lot of debilitating injuries that kind of ended his chances of being anything more than just kind of like a good vet to roster. But man, dude, he just would make all these crazy like tough catches across the middle. and very much. He also was elite in Madden, and I used to hate him because he was trash when he got like signed first, and then he developed into kind of a dependable guy, and injuries kind of took it away from him. But Tim Patrick forever in our hearts, and also on the Jacksonville Jaguars roster right now.
I will give you the green light on the Tony Snell. He is playing in France right now, so he is still
I
active.
guess that counts. Honorable mention Jay Cutler. All right, let's take a quick break and then do our last kind of segment here. All right, guys, welcome back to the Spilling It Pod. We have one more game, and it is a game that we're gonna play. But I did put this one on the schedule for a particular reason. Jesse had kind of a platform to do this recently, which I was really. He was like, "Hey, do you mind if I do this?" I was like, "No, of course not." And so I asked this time, unfortunately. This week we had to put down one of the family dogs. My wife's or my stepfather-in-law, my mother-in-law's boyfriend, Brian, who's, obviously a tremendous part of my life and my wife's life, obviously, and one of our most loyal podcast listeners to the point where like he'll like just like when we see them, he'll ask me about something I said specifically on the pod and like remember with like startling clarity like what my take was, and I'm like, dude, that's awesome. He did get he also got one of the quarter zips with the logo on it. And he gave me this shirt, which I'm wearing for him, which is the bracket bound for Arch Madness for Northern Iowa, where he went to school. We had to put Journey down this week. Journey was Brian's dog for a very long time. He rescued her from the side of the road um, about 13, 14 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that. And she was just like, my dad is allergic to cats and dogs, so I didn't grow up with pets. So I didn't really have pets in my life until I moved here and started dating Cheyenne. And, obviously now we have three at home. And then we had Romeo, who passed about 2 years ago, and then Journey also, who just passed. Um, so I didn't have like the most experience with pets, but Journey was that was my little friend. She was my pal. Every time that we went over there, um, she'd like come up and like hang out with me, and obviously like not like more than any. I'm not like her favorite. I'm not trying to claim that, but I really connected very strongly with Journey. She was just very chill. She's a little dog, so she had to bark like a ton when you first got there, but then she just like wanted to hang out. And I remember one time I was just kind of like holding her on the couch for a long time, and um she she was a really good dog. And it was really hard. But it was her time, and I'm just glad that she's at peace and resting. And so I wanted to do something to honor Journey, so I figured we would play a game celebrating her absolute favorite thing on this earth, which was pizza. She loved pizza, especially pizza crust. And all pets have kind of that. A lot of pets and dogs especially have that kind of quality where if you're eating something, they just are sitting there waiting. Journey was like not a very big dog, right? Like you can scoop her up with one hand kind of, but Journey would like sit there with the weight of like a 250-pound dog just like staring, and she wouldn't bark, she wouldn't whine. She would just like sit there and wait and wait and wait. And she usually got what she wanted. But she just like it was so funny. And like she'd sleep a lot, but you knew the second somebody had any food whatsoever, she was like, "All right, what are we eating? Can I have some? I'll wait. I'll be patient." And she would be patient because she knew she would eventually get it. She was always in the kitchen. But so, in honor of Journey, I thought we would do a draft, which we haven't done in a while. And Jesse, I was trying to think. I had like a strong sense of deja vu. Did we do pizza toppings already?
We have not
I
done
don't
pizza
think so.
toppings.
I was like, I know we did some sort of toppings draft or something like that, but I didn't think we'd done pizza toppings. So I was like, well, if we did, then we're doing it again. But
Here we go.
we're gonna do five pizza toppings each. We're gonna snake it because that just seems appropriate.
Seems
Um,
fair.
Jesse, I'm going to write a number one or two on my phone,
Okay.
If you are correct, you go first. If you're incorrect, then I go first.
Okay.
I have written a number.
Okay. I have also written a number.
No, you're guessing what I've
Oh,
written.
I'm guessing what the number is. Oh,
That's, that's great, Jesse, that you wrote a number. But what number do I have, big dog? One? No, I have two. My camera's blurred, so I don't think you can
my wife is making fun of me.
you can
Um,
there it is. Kind of. You can trust that I have two.
Yes, I do trust you.
All right.
Before we get started, Brian and Monica, I'm so sorry, you guys, and obviously to you and Cheyenne as well, Ben. But you guys were so kind during, our recent loss as well, and it hits at a different part of the heart, than I think losing people does. And there's such an innocence to the pets that we have. So thinking about all four of you right now, as well as Michaela, all five of you. You know, very, very tough situation, I know. But uh it's never easy. It's never easy, but you know, there is that peace of knowing that it is when it's the right time, it is the right time, and we can spare them of the worst. And I think that is part of the beauty of, pets being able to cross over the rainbow bridge in that way is that we can spare them of the worst of the worst. So definitely thinking of all of you guys this week, and let us know
Thanks,
if you
man.
guys need anything, obviously.
Yeah, of course. All right, pizza toppings. Pick one for me. it's tough. There's a lot of really good pizza toppings. I'm gonna go with maybe a little bit of a surprise because I feel like it's probably not the traditional first pick. I'm going with sausage.
It's a good pick, and it would have been my first pick had you gone with my actual number one. But sausage is so good when it's done right. Man, so we go to New York every summer. It's actually gonna be the first summer we don't go to New York in a very long time.
Yeah, it's
It's going
surprising.
to be weird for us. We're actually going to Key West this summer to celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary. And we got a place down there next to a marina that we're really excited about. So we're kind of going all in on that trip. And also, Ashlyn's sister's getting married. So timing's going to be a little off for it. But with that, when we go to New York every year, there's a pizzeria on the Upper East Side that we always go to that is allergen friendly for Ashland, and it's actually on the same block as an allergen friendly ice cream place. And it's kind of a miracle that these two exist literally within the same city block. Um, I haven't gotten their pepperoni pizza in a while because their fennel sausage pizza there is so good. It is unlike anything I've ever had, and I'm salivating. I'm also running a calorie deficit right now, so everything sounds good. Um, but it is otherworldly. So, like I said, when it's at its peak, I think you hit the nail on the head. Actually, it's a very, very good pick. With that being said, my first pick, I'm taking pepperoni.
Yeah,
I think it's too
1A and
classic.
1B. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too easy, and I feel like I'd be missing a layup. And also, you would dominate this draft if I let you have pepperoni and sausage. So, we are gonna go ahead and do that. So, back start of round two now. Feel free to throw a flag on this one, if if you're not with it. I'm going with just straight up extra cheese, like
No,
just an
I
extra.
have that on my list.
Okay, okay. I'm going ahead and I'm taking extra cheese with my
Especially
second
like a
pick.
second cheese.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going with the extra cheese on mine.
Yeah, it's good. Like multiple cheese pizza. Like I know it's like I'm not putting Red Baron as like the pinnacle of pizza, but yeah, I love
It's good
the
stuff,
five
man.
cheese pizza. Like
It's good stuff.
it's the blood pumping. Well, that lines up really well for me because I am taking onion as my number two
Good
selection.
pick. Good pick.
I didn't used to like onion, but I got into it. I got into it like it's some sort of hobby. I discovered an interest in
I
onion
experimented with
a
some
couple
onion.
years ago. Yeah, I did some crazy shit, back in the day, and now I'm a big onion guy. Big onion got its hooks in me. Um, I love onion on a pizza, sausage and onion together, especially. And there's this
Yeah.
place locally that Cheyenne and I love. They make a good gluten-free pizza, and then I just get a regular pizza and it's gas. It's called Elbow Room. It's like a kind of a bar that serves food, and it's one of those like it's all like red lights and like the lighting is horrible. But they make really good pizza, and there's like a ton of games that you can kind of play when you're waiting. We'll take you guys there sometime.
Oh, I'm
Um,
ready for it.
it's a great spot. Well, actually, I don't know if it's good for Ashland. We'll put it out to you guys at
Yeah,
least,
we
and
can call it.
investigate
We can
whether it's
call
good
it.
for Ashland. Um, so I'm gonna take that with my second round pick, and then at the top of the third round, literally just building my elbow room pizza, but give me red pepper flakes
Ooh,
to throw
yes.
on top. I know it's not a topping in the sense that like you get it in the
It
oven,
is the way I use it.
but but I love, just a sprinkling of red pepper flakes on top of a pizza. Give it a little bit of that heat, you know what I mean?
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And going back to you saying like it's kind of like a bar place getting pizza. I love places that aren't strictly pizzerias that have bomb pizza. This is
Yes.
gonna sound absolutely crazy to you, but I remember my father-in-law Tim told me one time we were going to Cincinnati, and he's like, "All right, there's this casino that we're going to. It's called Jack's Casino. I think I might have gotten bought out by a Hard Rock or something at this point." He's like, "You gotta try the pizza." I'm like, "Brother, we're in Cincinnati, and you want me to try the pizza
At a
at a
casino.
casino?" I had a spiritual experience having this pizza. It was otherworldly. And he's like, I told you. I was like, I'm never questioning your opinion on
Yeah,
pizza again.
you don't have to defend that stance to me when, as we bring up, it feels like every 3 or 4 episodes, I had a god tier mojito at the Rainforest Cafe at Animal Kingdom. Again, sometimes it's like, how, why, like, why are you
Why?
this like
How did
Bubba's
this happen?
33, a restaurant in town? They have this strawberry mule, and I'm like, I don't understand how this is so good. Like, it's just here at this like Texas Roadhouse spinoff. Like, what are we doing here? It's the meme of like the Corvette under like the dismantled carport. It's
Yes.
that. That is that, like, and it's like I don't understand how you did this, but you did it. All right, Jesse, your third pick.
All right, my third pick. This is actually a very specific place. I love a Blaze pizza. I really like Blaze. I like the product. I like that it's fresh. They make it in front of you. It's just good stuff. I crave their chorizo that they have there on an unhealthy level. And I actually recently found out it's actually a vegan chorizo. I didn't even realize that, but it is so well spiced that it makes the trip for me. And I've tried it with different combinations, and it's just a solid topping. For this next one, I'm also going with another one of my New York favorites, and that's going to be the meatball. I love a good
Add
meatball
meatball
on a
on my list
pizza.
too.
When it's another one of those that when it's done well, there's really nothing you can compare it to. When you put a meatball on a pizza, it's special.
So I had meatball on here as well because now that I've I've built my pizza from Elbow Room, I'm building another pizza from another place that I like here called Skies, and they have this lasagna pizza that goes really
Ooh,
dummy, and it has meatball, which I can't take, but I will be taking ricotta because it
ricotta's a
doesn't
good
really
one. That was on
seem
my
like it would
list.
work. And you look at the pizza slice, and you're like, I don't know about this, but something about it, just like the meatball, the cheese, the ricotta, it all just kind of like merge as well. So I'm gonna take kind of it's gonna seem like kind of a strange pick, especially
No, I'm
with
here for it.
other things like I'm leaving bacon and salami on the table here and
Mhm.
ham, but I'm gonna go with ricotta, and then it's my fifth pick now, right?
Yes. Mm,
So this pick is not necessarily how I would go, but I'm this is the journey pick. I'm gonna get her a good crust. It's
yes.
not a a pizza topping, but
But a good crust makes the pizza.
it does, and that's what a journey would want is the
Yep.
crust primarily. So I got to build my pizza with something for journey in it. So I'm taking the
I
pizza
love it.
crust.
I love it. And that's a great pick. And honestly, I've had so many pizzas where I'm like, this is pretty good, but it's missing something. And then I get to the crust and I eat the end of it. I'm like, oh, this tastes like the box it came in, and that's where it comes from. When you do the crust right, yeah, Journey was onto something. Definitely onto something. For my last one, man, I can't believe we're gonna be leaving like bacon behind on this.
I had another one that I'll highlight after you draft that I was
Yeah, I have another one, I think. We'll just do six picks. Why not? Let's
honorable
have some
mention.
fun.
Okay, we can do 6 picks. Why not? It's okay.
Um, for this one, I'm going gorgonzola cheese on it.
I
And
love that we have bacon, ham, salami on the table because we took ricotta and gorgonzola.
hear me out, okay?
I love us so much.
Like, I love a good cheese, right? I love a good cheese just isolated, but gorgonzola is that stanky cheese. You know
Three
what
of
I
our
mean?
10
Like,
picks were cheese.
it's got some banjo twang to it when you bite into it. It's some good stuff, right? the barbecue chicken pizza at Blaze, they put the gorgonzola on it and it transports me into another dimension. It is worth it every single time. I am here for it.
I love that. All right,
So,
you want a bonus pick? And I'll
yeah, let's go ahead and do the bonus
make
pick.
a bonus pick.
I'm gonna go ahead and take grilled chicken on mine just
Okay.
because of the barbecue chicken pizza. I think when that's done well, the ones I'm not a huge fan of is when the chicken's like wet. You know what I'm talking about?
I
Or no, you
don't
don't.
because I'm allergic to chicken, but I can assume. You said you know when the chicken's wet, like you know what I'm talking about. I was like, I don't actually
No,
know.
no, I really don't, and you're an
I have
idiot
no
for saying that.
concept of this.
Anyway, my apologies.
Why'd your voice get so low like that? Like you know what I'm talking about?
My
Like
apologies. You know what I'm
yeah,
talking about?
you know. He knows. He knows. Kids don't, but
I
we
know.
do.
I do.
All
Everyone
right.
watching now knows too.
My bonus pick because I feel like we have to leave some of these meats on the table, even though I love a meat lover's pizza. Give me
Just
like a
throw it
hot
all in
honey
there.
drizzle.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, just got like a hot honey drizzle. Again, kind of like the red pepper flakes, just a little bit of like a little extra zing to my pizza. But you give me like a pepperoni and sausage pizza, and then you just drizzle a little bit of that hot honey on top. It's a
Can we
really
do a
nice,
seventh pick?
flavorful touch. I'll take the seventh pick if you want. Now
Uh,
I have to take bacon.
yes.
I can't leave a meat on the table. No meat left behind. So I'll take bacon just so you can make your seventh pick.
Hit me with some roasted garlic.
I garlic was also on. It was
Hit
the
me with
last
some
thing
roasted
left on my
garlic.
list.
I want my breath to
Besides like salami.
visually stun another human when I have like garlic is measured with the heart. It really is. But you put it on a good pizza with some white sauce, maybe. Now we're talking.
Yeah, I do like garlic on pizza. I mean, I like garlic in general.
Yes.
This is not this is a pro sinners podcast. It is not a pro vampire podcast. Um,
Was that man? We got so close. That was almost our first episode without a sinner shout out.
but you know what? It was our first episode without
Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole. This doesn't count because we're bringing up that it wasn't in there. But wow, you're spared this week, Jordan. We had too much. We had too
Man,
much
I
to
could have
talk
said
about.
it too with the roasted garlic. I could
We
have
only
said I
talked
want.
about one NBA thing, so well,
That's
not
fair.
that that's
That's
ever
fair.
like proven to be a limiter, but we had a lot to talk about in this episode. So Jordan Poole, you're spared, but count your days, man. Next week we're coming after you.
Gonna be on your head.
All right, well that was our seventh round pizza topping. It's in honor of the upcoming NFL draft. I say upcoming. We have a month before then. Where is it this year? I don't remember. Is it Pittsburgh?
Oh,
It's
let me
Pittsburgh,
look.
isn't it?
I thought it was Pittsburgh, but now that we're
The draft
asking,
is in
I
Pittsburgh, I think.
forgot everything.
I'm pretty sure it's Pittsburgh. Yeah, it's in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, April 20. Man, we got
Acrisure
a long
Stadium.
way to go. April 23rd.
Yeah, it's at the end of April. Combine is kind of misleading because it's like two full months before
Yeah,
the
gets me
draft.
excited for nothing. Well, moving forward, we're gonna have some different things that we're gonna try to work out some new contents and maybe get some gaming in where we are gonna rebuild some programs on college football and kind of stream those things to you. We're gonna figure out the best way to get those things to you. The pod will stay the pod and will always be the pod, but we're looking to diversify. We're having a good time, and you know, as always, having a great time with my best friend doing my thing. So. That's it for this episode. And Ben, you got anything else?
I think that's it, except for Jordan Poole's a bum.
Yep, Jordan
I
Poole is a
can't
bum.
be said. And I hate the Dude, the Pelicans are beefing with Stephen A. Smith, and it's so frustrating because I'm like, man, OMG, the two worst people I know are fighting.
It's that meme, heartbreaking. The worst person you know
Made
just
a
made a
great
great
point
point.
because I'm like, ooh, I think I signed more with the Pelicans than Stephen A. Smith. But
I think I'm going Pels just simply because of my extreme dislike for Stephen
did
A.
you see
Smith.
the
But
Onion put out an article that was like New Orleans Pelicans to host basketball night theme night? It's a violation. I was like, oh man,
that's
I love New
diabolical.
Orleans. They deserve better than the Pelicans.
They really
That's all
do.
I got though.
All right.
Sorry,
Well,
Jacob.
that's been episode, what is this, 15,
This
14?
is I don't know, man.
Who
It's
knows
an
at this
episode. You know what? We're so syndicated. We don't even need to count anymore.
No, whether you're watching this in, I think we had a Russian listener at one point. Whether you're watching this in the United States, in Canada, Taiwan, we love our international fans as well. Thank you so much for tuning in as always, and we will catch you next week.
Sayonara.